What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening to the overall market so far, what you should be watching for when it comes to economic data coming out, while you should be expecting some high volatility for the first 15 and 30 minutes of the trading day. So before I break anything down about what the charts are suggesting, what you should be watching for as time progresses, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just 1 week and ends in just 7 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market so far. So, looking at SPY, this thing is currently up 0.59% for the day during the pre-market. Tesla's also up over 2%. And the market is looking like it's trying to bounce right now. We're seeing Aapl in the green, same thing with the QQQ, and Nvda continuing to pump. And so far, things are looking quite decent. But the thing I want to remind everyone about is that even though the market is looking bullish, we have some technicals that look bullish. You have to be a little careful because you want to be open-minded for the first 30 minutes because we have a lot of data coming out, and this could cause some high volatility, could even cause the market to make some big moves in different directions. So just be very careful during that period, but just know that we still look bullish from a technical standpoint. So starting us off, 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Composite PMI data coming out alongside the manufacturing and services PMI reports. These are just very important to give us understandings of how these sectors are doing for the economy, and they're going to cause some high volatility. This could cause the market to slow down or not, but it's not just going to be 15 minutes after open. Also, 30 minutes after open at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have even more data. We have the Richmond Fed Services Index and the manufacturing data all coming out. So during this period, for the first 15 and 30 minutes, expect some volatility. This could cause the market to just continue to pump. It could cause the market to slow a little bit. So just be very careful with this data. And after 10 o'clock a.m., we'll see where the market is heading. That's going to give us a good understanding of how things are looking. Now, moving forward, we also have the 2-year note auction coming up. That's going to be much later at 1 p.m. I'll talk more about that later on. But besides that, when it comes to earnings, we have Coca-Cola, Verizon, and GE announcing earnings soon. I don't think it came out just yet at the time I'm recording this, but I will talk about this later on. And then later on today, after the market closes, we have Microsoft, Alphabet, Snap, and just a couple of others. So get ready for some big earnings later on today. A couple of things to go over before the market ends up opening. We can see right here that so far, we're still waiting for the earnings coming up for Coca-Cola, Alphabet, and Microsoft. I am recording this quite early. The UAW strikes are continuing, and they're going to have an effect on GM alongside Ford and other companies. And then when it comes to Coke, I think the earnings just came out. They did better than expected profit and revenue, which is good for them. So that is some bullish news for now. But it has raised prices to keep up with inflation. So that is some good news for them overall. Them raising prices is not the best of news, but we'll see how they perform. And besides that, there's still a lot of continuations going on with politics and the entire situation going on in Israel and Hamas. So that's with Israel and Gaza. So, anyways, moving forward, guys, I want to focus now on the charts. How are things looking? Honestly, guys, we are looking more bullish on the technical standpoints. Don't forget, there's going to be high volatility. Now, SPY could be gapping up, so be very careful if we end up kind of like coming down below 422. If we break below 422, start coming down to the 421.5 area right here, there's a risk it could come back down to about this 420 area to fill this gap, depending on the data. But 420 looks like some pretty solid support, and we should see buyers still defend, even if we do come down. If we're bullish, you need to see SPY break 423.5, and if it breaks down, we're going to be we're going to be looking for a push up to at least 426.25 very, very soon. Now, what is more likely to play out as we have a bullish and a bearish case? Well, the thing is, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure, and we're seeing buyers stepping in to defend, and our 200 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame is at 426.8. So it looks more bullish. It looks like this is going to play out. We're going to see the bulls take over and push this up very, very nicely. And I do favor the bulls. I think that this inverse head and shoulders could bring SPY much higher. But just to be safe, I would recommend just waiting to see how these numbers are looking, wait and see what this data suggests for the markets first off before we turn way too bullish. But I do believe the odds greatly favor more upside looking at this current structure. The QQQ is the same thing basically. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders on the QQQ, same pattern. So we're currently at 358. If we maintain this, there's going to be a good chance it's going to test basically the highs from yesterday. And if we break that in the mid 359s, I see this thing going up to 361.69 at the very least, if not 362.5, because of these imbalances up here. Now, if we're bearish, you want to see this thing break below 357. If we lose 357, we're going to come down to 355 and then 353.5 below that. However, I'm not leaning as much in that direction. I could see it drop just a tiny bit, but I think the bulls will step in and try to push this towards 362. I'm leaning more in that direction. But once again, guys, wait for the PMI reports. We'll see what this causes for the market nonetheless. For Nvda, we're looking very strong. It's continuing to just pump and pump and pump. And I was thinking that we could see this like inverse head and shoulders, like kind of like a little drop first, and then we continue pumping to these higher levels. Instead, it's just trying to pump from here. So it still is very, very strong. So with Nvidia pumping this hard, it could retrace it a little bit right here towards 433. That's where we have this previous resistance. And if that fails us, it could go a little lower towards 430 all over again, but it should bounce and try to continue going up. So we're going to be watching a little drop and then pop, just a small one. It doesn't have to be that big. And Nvidia is going to make an attempt to break 437. If we break this, the bullish case would be we pump towards this imbalance and we see 444. If we break 444, the next level to watch will be 448. And above that, we have 451. Oh, and I forgot about 442. That's going to be another level. So 442, 444, 448, and then 451 are three levels or four levels to watch for on Nvidia. Now, what's more likely is we basically kind of come down a little bit, and then we see buyers try to fight 437. If the market ends up pumping with all the data coming out, I see Nvidia pumping towards 440 plus. If not, I mean, it could come back down, but just to be safe, just know it's looking more bullish right now. It's continuing to make higher highs and higher lows, and we're continuing to see buyers stepping in. So it looks bullish, and the odds do favor that for the time being. Looking at Apple stock, before I break down Tesla, I think I skipped Tesla so far. Apple also has an inverse head and shoulders. Looks quite nice so far. If we're bearish, you want to see Apple break below 172 flat. If 172.6 breaks, then watch 172 and wait and see how the data affects it. Now, if we're bearish, you want to see it break 172 and come back down to 170. If we're bullish, you want to see it break above 174.5. If that breaks, it's going to come all the way up towards it's going to get very close to 176.5, I would say. There's this imbalance up here. Now, what's looking more probable? What do I think is going to happen? Well, I'm always open-minded because of all this data that's coming out, but I'm leaning more bullish since we have an inverse head and shoulders, and we're seeing buyers defending 172. Now, it looks like Apple's trying to establish a higher low. It looks like the odds greatly favor us pushing up higher so long as Apple holds this level. So the odds favor this thing pushing towards above 175, and it's looking more bullish so far. Now, for Tesla, I do have one little concern about Tesla, and that is we're basically gapping up really, really nicely. We have this nice gap that's forming on Tesla. We have a gap below us. Technically, we're gapping up. There's also one in the pre-market. But like I said before, we still have an inverse head and shoulders, and Tesla's looking bullish on the 4 hours. So we'll see if Tesla retraces a little bit back down to like 214. Then we bounce and start pushing up higher. But if you want to turn really bullish, you want to see Tesla break and hold 218. If we manage to do that, watch for 220. And the next level will be 222.5, 225 above that, 228. And if we break that, I could see this thing going all the way up to 230. Those are some tight levels on Tesla, but I believe it has potential. So it's looking more bullish overall. It really looks like it wants to continue pushing. It has an inverse head and shoulders like structure, but we're going to be watching this gap down here. Do we come down to fill this gap and then bounce, or do we keep pushing? If Tesla loses 212, that's going to be a bearish case. It's going to come down to 210 all over again, but I'm not really leaning in that direction. I believe it's either going to start pushing it when we open to 225, or I'm sorry, at least 220, or it comes down a little bit, comes back down to fill this gap down here at like 214, and then we start pushing up even higher. Either way, I still see upside for Tesla. I think there's good potential for it as time goes on, especially with some hype associated with earnings as we're seeing buyers continuing to step in. Just a couple more things. I just wanted to call out the fact that the VIX is still continuing to drop. The VIX is potentially forming this head and shoulders like pattern we were calling out yesterday. So you could see it like right here. And with the VIX potentially forming it, this is going to be very important for the way it's moving. The 4 hours looking a little bit weaker. And on the 30 minutes time frame, which I have right here, we'll see if the VIX continues to slide. We have a possible head and shoulders right here. If the VIX loses this support around 19, we could see this sink even lower, and that could be another potential bullish signal for the markets because of the market pushing up. The dollar is back up, but we're testing our 200 EMA, so we'll see if this breaks or not. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one intraday. And do not forget about all this data. 15 and 30 minutes after open, we will see how this affects us. All right, thanks again, guys, and peace out.